The Darfur region of Sudan, even before the eruption of large-scale violence in 2003, was no stranger to conflict. The term Janjaweed, meaning devils on horseback, first emerged in the 1980s, associated with Arab militias. The Sudanese government began to arm and support these groups, transforming them into a potent paramilitary force. By the late 1990s, the Janjaweed's attacks on non-Arab communities became increasingly brutal. The international community largely ignored the warning signs, setting the stage for a humanitarian catastrophe. In 2003, two rebel groups rose up against the Sudanese government, accusing it of marginalizing Darfur. The government's response was brutal, unleashing the Janjaweed on civilian populations. Villages were razed, and countless women were subjected to horrific sexual violence. Hundreds of thousands were killed, and over 2 million displaced. The United States declared the situation a genocide, reflecting the gravity of the crimes. The International Criminal Court indicted several high-ranking Sudanese officials for war crimes. Despite international pressure, the violence continued unabated. The conflict in Darfur became a stain on the conscience of the world. The 2005 Comprehensive Peace Agreement failed to address the root causes of the conflict in Darfur. The Sudanese government signed the Darfur Peace Agreement in 2006, but it proved ineffective. Instead of disbanding the Janjaweed, the government integrated them into the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. The RSF continued to commit human rights abuses against Darfuri civilians. The international community's response remained fragmented and largely ineffective. The situation in Darfur entered a state of protracted conflict, characterized by ongoing violence and humanitarian suffering. As the world's attention shifted, the situation in Darfur deteriorated. The RSF, now a formidable force, intensified its counterinsurgency campaign. Their tactics remained brutal, with indiscriminate attacks on civilians and widespread sexual violence. Inter-Arab fighting within the RSF further destabilized the region. International condemnation remained largely rhetorical, and the ICC faced significant obstacles. Darfur seemed to slip into a state of forgotten crisis. By 2020, the Janjaweed had transformed into a powerful paramilitary force integrated into the Sudanese state. The conflict continued to simmer, characterized by sporadic violence and widespread displacement. The RSF's involvement in the conflict in Yemen highlights the regional implications of their unchecked power. The Janjaweed's legacy hinders efforts to achieve lasting peace and reconciliation. Until there is a genuine commitment to accountability and reform, the cycle of violence is likely to continue. The international community has a moral imperative to support a comprehensive peace process that ensures justice for the victims.